Okay, time for a longer ram. At this point, we have this much displacement. We're going to bring in the longer ram for more push. We're already beginning to get travel across the dashboard and firewall over to the driver's area. Continue on with the power ram. At this point, we're doing our version of rolling the dash on a school bus. We've torn the A-post now completely free of the structure. We're moving some heater material here. All right, hold. We're moving dashboard and firewall all across the vehicle, and we have actually resulted in movement of components here in the driver's area that could actually have been trapping the driver in a collision. So rolling the dash on a school bus is different than rolling a dash on an automobile. We basically have taken the dash and firewall and moved it, pivoted it, rather than the rolling action that we're used to on an automobile. This is our final advanced extrication with a bus on 6 wheels.
In the advanced level of a school bus on its side, we will demonstrate stabilization techniques, roof section opening and removal, and jacking and shoring techniques. It's important to note the same tools used for vehicle extrication should be used in a school bus extrication, and some of the evolutions have been condensed for time.
Okay, in the final advanced school bus rescue evolutions, we're going to work now with the bus in the rollover. We're going to do a problem of access from the outside to the inside, working from the roof. This school bus is a newer one that has the hatches in the roof, and not all of them do at this point. We're going to use these hatches to our advantage. We're going to attempt to pry open one hatch by defeating the manual levers inside, and the second hatch on this school bus at the rear, we're going to bring in a cutting tool and cut it at the hinge area and attempt to bring it open that way. This will give us initial access, again about 2 by 2, that probably in a real situation would be sufficient. However, we're going to go a step beyond. We're going to then cut the side openings here on each side of the hatch, cut it down through the roof structure, cutting the roof stringers and between the roof bows, and make a deeper door opening in the roof to get access sustained access in and out of the vehicle. So we're going to concentrate on roof openings at this point. Okay, good job. At this point, we have initial access into the vehicle, and we also have a capability of bringing boarded patients out. We're going to say that that's not good enough. We're going to continue to cut away the structure of the roof and make this 2 foot wide and about 5 foot tall door opening. We're going to use a power cutter or reciprocating saw or air chisel, or we'll even use a manual can opener to completely drop these hatch openings down, make them look more like doors. However, this is a usable space that would be very valuable in the early stages of an accident with people trapped inside. We've demonstrated a couple examples of openings in the roof of the school bus. On this particular evolution here, this team opened the emergency escape hatch that was provided in the bus. Then they sawed through the structure of the roof bow, the stringer in the roof, both layers of metal, as they cut down through and took this whole section off. On their opposite side, the rear side of their job, they actually used a manual can opener, officially a K-bar T, in this case, the can opener, a section at a time, and they got the sidewall to lay down. Then they would finish their evolution by bringing in the patient safety equipment, such as the vinyl or blanket or tarp, as well as tape. The Team on the other roof opening, again, took their initial opening from the hatch that was provided in the school bus, and then they used air cutting equipment to come down through here to cut it open a piece at a time. We even used hydraulic cutting equipment to make some of the initial cuts in the stringer of the roof, this cross piece. So we've got two examples, two jobs being done, 4 different ways: air cutting, hydraulic cutting, electric cutting, and manual cutting. You may have all of these tools in your rescue inventory. You may not have all but maybe one. Now you can see that 4 different techniques can accomplish the same job. This is what we refer to as a door being cut into the roof of the school bus. Approximately 2 foot wide to stay between the roof bows and 5 or 6 foot tall. This would be an essential job to have accomplished for a long, drawn-out bus rescue where the bus has rolled over. While the work was being done by the extrication teams here, the stabilization of a vehicle in a rollover was accomplished very quickly with very few pieces of wood compared to when it was on its wheels. We simply picked up the strength of the roof bow, strength of the rain gutter, and put in some solid cribbing. You can see from that load against the cribbing that it has picked up a strong structural area of the bus. So actually, although it doesn't sound that way, it's easier to stabilize a bus that has rolled over than to stabilize a school bus while it's still on its wheels. But stabilization needs to be done early, no matter what position the bus is in. We're going to end up with an unfortunately common scenario now. A person was ejected from the school bus during the dynamics of the rollover. We now have a person trapped under an overturned vehicle. We're going to utilize one example of lifting equipment. We're going to utilize high-pressure airbags along with blocking, and to do an example of a jacking and shoring job. This school bus, being a Type C full-size bus, could weigh in at approximately 12 tons. So we'll be lifting and shoring a portion of this 12-ton school bus for our final advanced job, jacking and shoring. As we get underway with this jacking and shoring evolution, there's a couple of safety things that we need to point out that you'll see being done for the safety primarily of the rescuers. First of all, as we operate with the lifting tool, we're going to utilize a longboard placed in here to simulate where our trapped patient would be. One of the safety concerns is the teams will put their lifting equipment and their blocking in a position that's convenient, and then when it's time to bring the patient out, there isn't a pathway available for patient extrication. So this will remind us that we have the patient in this area. In addition, anytime a team works jacking of an object, they need to work shoring, preventing it from coming back down. Our rescue team will use box cribbing. It's a crisscross pattern of wood, equal dimensions, crisscross pattern of wood that will form a very firm support. However, here's a safety concern. If I'm working on the cribbing and the bus comes up and there's enough room to put the next piece of wood, I need to prevent myself from being the next pinch point. I need to stay off of the top or working surface of the blocking. I need to reach through the box crib and bring the blocking in, or I need to work the blocking from the ends. Don't let yourself or a part of you become the crush point between your blocking and the object you're lifting. In addition, the rescuer working the box crib needs to remain physically in a body posture that would allow them to escape if something would go wrong. For example, I'm bringing in the next layer of cribbing, and as the bus comes up, I'm in the process of inserting the wood, and suddenly the object begins to shift. I need to physically be able to stand back or to spring back away from the work area. Don't get on your knees. Don't sit down while you're shoving blocking under a bus, because you don't have a chance to escape if something would go sour. So keep your hands off the working surface and remain in a body posture on any jacking and shoring job that allows you the opportunity to escape away from your work area. All right, we're going to do the airbag tool, high pressure airbags for lifting. We've chosen a strategically strong spot utilizing the roof bow and the rain gutter. We've stacked airbags. The airbags are on 2 different color hoses. We have the couplings on opposite sides. The commands would be up on green to inflate our bottom bag, down on green, up on yellow, down on yellow. As we're working the airbags in tandem will be bringing in the box cribbing to safety our work. Every inch of travel is another inch of stabilization or another inch of cribbing. We'll simulate we need a distance here 4 or 5 inches of travel to get our patient out. If this did not work, if we were unable to lift the object, another alternative, if you can't raise the object, lower the ground. We may result to digging out the final inch or so to get the patient free. In our scenario, this will be all that's necessary for jacking and stabilizing to safely get the patient free. Okay, team. Safety teams are in place at a couple different locations if you want to do the blocking. Let me bring the longboard in place to simulate the patient. Okay, I'm going to need this pathway cleared right here. Hose is in the way. Got it? All right, this will be our reminder of where our patient is in the pathway that we need to keep open. Okay, cribbing's all set at the front. Okay, airbag controllers ready. We're going to inflate our bottom bag, at least initially, to get a foundation or a base to work off of. Let's go up on green. We're watching the bags now mold into the object. We have not inflated the yellow. We're just simply forming a base or a solid point with our bottom bag. Stabilization teams are working in place. Hold on green, up on yellow, please. Noticing now that the two bags are meshing together and our top bag is beginning to grip and to mold onto the shape of the object being lifted. Hold on yellow, please, up on green. At this point now, all travel of the airbag is travel of the object, and that's fine. Hold, please. We're well into the job, way ahead of what would be necessary. We mentioned 4 or 5 inches. Airbags do not stabilize a lifted object. They will hold it there, but they will not prevent it. See if I can get it to rock here. They will not prevent this lifted object from floating or from moving. So that's why the teams working the cribbing on each side need to bring that blocking into place. All right, we need a little bit more travel to get your crib in, right? Yep. Okay, let's go up on green slightly. That'll give the final set to that upper layer of blocking. Front, how you doing? Okay, front crib's in, hold, airbag hold. And the mate to the top layer's in. Okay. At this point, go ahead, use a 2x4. You got a 2x4. We're going to just finalize to snug that up, and we'd hold it at that point. Here, you would consider immediately then this crew is now available for extrication of the patient. Realizing from an EMS point of view that lifting a 12-ton object can be the equivalent of releasing a tourniquet. This person may be very viable here, maybe pinned from the waist out, they're free, pinned from the waist down. And suddenly we've released a 12-ton tourniquet, and we can have a rapid deterioration of the patient. Make sure everything is in place for patient extrication, transport immediately. There can be no delay at this point. Don't lift until everything is ready, because when you lift, you don't want anything to come in the way of a continuous operation that will quickly get the patient out and continue onto the medical facility. Now that we've had the opportunity to show you some of the important or relevant safety equipment or features on a school bus, and we've had the opportunity to show you some of our basic and intermediate and advanced vehicle rescue evolutions, we hope that we have motivated you now to go and study this problem further. Remember, every day in the United States, school day, Monday through Friday, there's over 400,000 school buses transporting 22 million children. 22 million children from the ages of preschool to high school that are relying on you and the training and the abilities that you bring with you. I know from my personal experience dealing with bus emergencies and talking to others who have handled these problems that the difference between training and no training when you arrive at the scene of a school bus emergency can truly be the difference between life or death. Let me tell you one thing else. A school bus emergency does not have to be a disaster. It's up to you. You can manage these things. Train now. Be proactive. Get ahead of this. Not all school bus emergencies have to be a disaster. Now, as this concludes our video series, there's some other support information that you as training people may be interested in for use in your department. Through the Carbuster training series, American Safety Video out of Naples, Florida, there's also available a videotaped school bus rescue and with a supporting document instructor guide that has lessons, lesson plans, lesson topics, and objectives all laid out. That would kind of support your training. If you're interested in up-to-date written material about particulars about the bus, Rescue Magazine, a company out in California, has published what they call a monograph. It's full color, and it includes pictures and discusses all of the 5 tapes that we put together for you in the American Heat series. So these 2 documents, or 2 sources of information, are available to further promote your local level training in the field of school bus rescue.
Good things to have. Ron, thank you so much. Well, that's our program for December, and thank you for joining us. From all of us here at American Heat, we want to wish you a very safe and happy holiday season.
Okay, and remember, next time we may be watching you on American Heat.